Hey, have you ever gotten superpowers from sipping a rancid Slurpee? Have you spent years of time and energy figuring out more buff combinations than an Elden Ring speedrun? Well, congratulations! You might be a mutant blood hunter. But what is a mutant blood hunter? Well, pull up your Juice Cleanse calendar, get yourself a portable drink carbonator, and try to figure out how to pack an entire chemistry lab into your adventuring sack, cause you're gonna need to
stand up,
Frank,
pass out,
Frank,
wake up,
Frank,
fade it,
Frank,
fade it.
You know, the Sword Coast really is a weird place if you think about it. Not only are there multiple encyclopedias worth of monsters to contend with, but you've got brigands and dragons and evil mages. Hell, even the cute anthropomorphic frogs want a piece of you. How the hell is a regular person supposed to survive? Well, luckily, some mad scientists have discovered the perfect recipe.
Sugar, spice, and everything nice. These were the ingredients chosen to create the perfect little girl. But Professor Utonium accidentally added an extra ingredient to the concoction.
drugs.
That's right. As if the world of D&D wasn't volatile enough, why not add copious consumption of hazardous substances onto the list of potential things that can kill you? But what is life without risk? And what is risk without reward? You see, while these substances are incredibly hazardous to the layman, in the right hands, they can also be a nasty secret weapon. But first, are you the kind of dungeon master that supplies their group with more maps than a certified cartographer? Do you love the thrill of revealing an outstanding new vista for your players to explore, but maybe aren't the world's greatest artist? Well, no worries, because the folks over at CzePeku have you covered. If you're a tabletop player and have never heard of CzePeku, you have definitely seen their work, as they make some of the most impressive 5e maps around. But not just for D&D. CzePeku has over 4,000 maps with day and night variations, weather effects, season changes, and much more for both D&D and Pathfinder. Spend an afternoon with the party in this beautiful cherry blossom monastery, or discover the mystery of this terrifying dragon's lair. Or better yet, step your game up to the next level with their gorgeous animated maps for even deeper immersion. Everything you see here works seamlessly with your favorite VTTs like Roll20, Foundry, Fantasy Grounds, and more, and they even have tutorials in case you're like me and still can't figure out the difference between JPEG and JPEG. So, do yourself a favor and head to my link below to subscribe to CzePeku's Patreon today, and you can immediately get those 4,000 maps plus a new one each week for $10 or less. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have an illithid layer to take down right after I take a dip in the bathhouse, complete with this adorable giant sea turtle. A huge thanks to CzePeku for sponsoring the show, and now, back to the video. So you want to learn how to craft a draft and leverage your beverage. Well, to do that, you gotta be a blood hunter. Blood Hunters are a weird addition to 5e created by some guy nobody's heard of, but have an interesting and in-depth playstyle, focused around changing your mortal body into something with a little more juice. This works by entwining their soul with some creepy blood magic in a process called the Hunter's Bane, essentially mixing your life essence with the darker side of the monster manual, allowing you to understand how monsters think, and giving you advantage on survival checks to track fae, fiends, and undead, as well as intelligence checks on what they could be. This also gives you access to your blood maledict, allowing you greater control of the blood inside you and others. This magic is called Hemocraft and works through a blood curse, of which you know one, but we'll figure out additional curses at level 6, 10, 14, and 18. You can also amplify these curses to gain an additional or greater effect at the cost of taking damage equal to a roll of your Hemocraft die. And since there's so much to cover in this video, I'm not going to talk about these much. Just make sure you check your Blood Hunter guide sheet to remember how many blood curses you know, how many times you can use them, and what die to roll for your Hemocraft die. Cause as much as I like the Blood Hunter, this class is like a furniture store. Lots of tables. At second level, we pick up the best thing to use when fighting monsters, and that's a fighting style. You get your choice between archery, dueling, great weapon, and two-weapon fighting, but for reasons that will become apparent pretty soon, I'm going to recommend archery. This class and subclass are built around taking debuffs to gain buffs, and while there are benefits to the other styles, archery is going to let you get the most gains while avoiding damage and staying out of the fray. Combine this later on with feats like sharpshooter or crossbow expert, and you'll have a dangerous ranged fighter who can easily outmaneuver prey while lighting them up from afar with icky blood magics. Which reminds me, if you're gonna kill monsters, you better kill them Crimson right. That was terrible. The Crimson Rite allows you to stab yourself to extract some of that sweet vein ketchup, and then spread it all over your weapon to light it up with some elemental magic. Right now you get one option between fire, cold, or lightning damage, with more options becoming available as you level up, but doing this hurts, obviously, causing you to take necrotic damage equal to a roll of your Hemocraft die, which at this level is a D4, but then allows you to keep that infusion going until you take a nap, and adding a D4 of the chosen damage type to every attack. This is the signature ability of the Blood Hunter, and as I've said before, is one of my favorite mechanics of 5e. Not because I think it's overpowered, but because it introduces choices that both the character and the player are making simultaneously. Understanding the risks of when it is or is not a good time to activate a rite or magnify a blood curse can be the difference between the life and death of a character, and giving that to a player is pretty smart in my opinion. But you know what's generally considered not smart? Mixing together random alchemist supplies, monster body parts, and a good dose of whatever you can find under the sink in your garage. But somehow you're able to shake off things like severe intestinal distress or death, only receiving minor side effects and gaining a mutation. Oh, that's nostalgic. But unlike your favorite spandex-wearing, child-endangering school teachers turned crime fighters, your mutations are optional and can be swapped on the fly. This process is called Mutagen craft and essentially allows you to concoct your choice of spicy lattes and choose which effects you want. At the moment, we can know 4 formulas and have one active at a time by spending a bonus action to chug that bad boy down, but as our bodies get used to guzzling what essentially amounts to a combination of meth and steroids, or hillbilly Kool-Aid if you're from the sticks, luckily these mutagens wear off after a short or long rest, or you can spend an action to flush them from your system, which I think just means shit yourself. But how do you pick the right formulas and when to use them? Well, that's where your monster knowledge comes in handy. Being based heavily off The Witcher, this class and subclass require you to spend time and effort in-game to research and create a battle plan in order to take down whatever specific monster you might be about to fight. For that reason, it's kind of counterproductive of me to name off the best options, as that will usually depend on the needs in the moment. However, I will go ahead and point out my favorites, like these on screen, that I think are pretty useful no matter what. But moving on, we get extra attack at 5th level for 2 attacks per round, with or without our dumb bitch juice, and at 6th level we get the Brand of Castigation. Anytime you smack or shoot a creature with a weapon that has a Crimson Rite active, you can brand that target with your specific magical mark. This brand cannot be removed unless you choose to remove it, or it's dispelled by dispelled magic, and allows you to always know the direction of the branded creature, as well as give them psychic damage if they hit anything within 5 feet of you. This combo works great for our long-range hunter build as well, as you can keep consistent track of your prey without having to use party spells on things like scrying or locate creature. At 7th level, however, all that chugging has allowed us to develop a strange metabolism, giving us immunity from being poisoned and poison damage, but also allowing us to resist the bad side effects from one of our mutagens as a bonus action for 1 minute. Remember, we can now have 2 mutagens active at a time, so this comes in really handy when you get a bad combination of effects. And even though our blood may now be as toxic as Keith Richards, there is no guarantee we'll live nearly as long. Holy shit, he's 80? How? Speeding up a little, we get the Grim Psychometry at 9th level, which is a word I definitely know because I'm a smart and not a dumb, but allows us to divine information about objects or places with an evil past, giving you advantage on the history roll, but possibly having visions of whatever happened with it based mostly on whether or not the DM has figured out that stage of the plot. And at 10th level, we gain the Dark Augmentation for a permanent increase to your speed, and the ability to add your Hemocraft modifier to strength, dex, and con saves, because steroids are fun. Probably. I wouldn't know. Ask Barry Bond's head. But at 11th level, we get the Brand of Axiom, letting you use your knowledge of monster and mortal physiology to gain further control of your Brand of Castigation. Now, whenever you brand a creature, they can no longer be invisible or cast illusions like Disguise Self, and must succeed on a Wisdom saving throw if they are under the effects of, or try to cast something body-altering like Polymorph or Shape Change, or be forced to revert to their original form and be stunned until the end of your next turn. Wild. And then with the added buff from the Brand of Tethering at 13th level, the poor bastards can't even escape this dimension, as they must make a Wisdom save and take 4d6 psychic damage to even attempt it. Funnily enough, this subclass really became the Bloodhound type between the Bloodhunter orders, which is especially hilarious considering one of them is literally a dog. But at 14th level we gain a Hardened Soul, probably from all the weird shit we've seen when on our mutagen-induced trips, but that'll give us advantage on being charmed or frightened and help fend off some of those nastier saving throws.
This one has cheated us many times. It is vexing.
Boo.
But it's 15th level where we get the Blood Curse of Corrosion, which you can enact as a bonus action on any creature within 30 feet of you. This is a fantastic curse, as it just straight up poisons the target's blood, giving them disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls until they make the Constitution save at the end of their turn. But because the original effect has no save, you'll at least get one round of them being poisoned guaranteed. Additionally, you can also amplify this curse to deal an extra 4d6 necrotic damage on first infliction, and then every time they fail the Constitution save for some free extra damage. Not bad. But rounding us off, we get the Exalted Mutation at 18th level, letting us hot swap mutations on the fly, ending the good and bad effects of a mutation you're under the influence of, and replacing it with a mutation you know the formula for. Great for situations where you realize a little too late you drank the wrong drink, and are now staring down a red dragon while vulnerable to fire damage. And finally, at 20th level, we become a Sanguine Master to decide once per turn to reroll a Hemocraft die to either shrug off the damage meant for you, or deal additional damage to the baddie, and regain one use of your Blood Maledict whenever you score a critical hit with a Crimson Right weapon. So, does the Mutant Blood Hunter have the juice? Funny you should say that. You know, I didn't know what to think about this subclass when I first started making this video, but by the end, I gotta say, I'm impressed. The Mutagens table reminds me a bit of Eldritch Invocations, with the added benefit of being able to choose which ones you want active at a time, and I think it's that flexibility that does set it apart. But if you followed along with my archery build, my standard 3 mutagens I'd have on rotation would be Celerity, Cruelty, and Precision, for increased dex and extra attack, and the ability to score a critical hit on a 19. But that makes you super susceptible to wisdom-based saves, even if you elect to ignore the worst side effects from Cruelty. However, your ability to maintain distance and stay out of range from some of the worst spells and ranged effects makes up for a lot of the shortcomings you might expect. There is always the chance you could be caught off guard or intentionally targeted, but the protection your range provides, especially if you took the sharpshooter feat, is diabolical. Like everything with this subclass though, that comes with the downside of less uses of your Blood Maledict, as those usually have a limited range. But since they have so much variety and out of combat potential, I'm not super worried about it. This subclass is also a dream come true for multiclassing, being a natural and devastating choice for a Gloomstalker. Add together your buffs and castigation and maledicts and rights and any spells you may get from other classes, and you've got a pretty scary character combination that, in my opinion, can rival any non-homebrew class 5e's got, at least in terms of outright fun. So if you've got the recipe for Michael's secret stuff but don't want to share it with the rest of the Toon Squad, can't bench press a Humvee but only after a swig from the pocket flask, and once got kicked out of a blood drive because whatever's leaking out of you kept burning through the donation bags, guess what? You might be a mutant blood hunter. Hey guys, as always, thanks for watching. Another subclass will be added to the poll tomorrow, so make sure you look out for that on the community tab, but if you want to see your favorite subclasses come up sooner, make sure to shout them out in the comments below so I can see what you want to see. And remember, if you want to chat with me about content or D&D stuff or just hang out with some cool people, I've set up a Discord server with the link in the description, so make sure to check that out when you can. A big thanks once again guys for all the love and support, and I'll see you all very soon.